Our News is brought to you by Alive.
Believe in best.
Tonight on Our News, Sir Sidney Poitier dies at age 94. COVID cases impacting another area of the healthcare sector. The bail management system to be expanded, and Rev Media VP David Burrows named a top 100 leader. Welcome to Our News, and thanks for joining us. I'm Christina Dragovich. Topping news tonight, tributes pouring in from all over the world following the death of Sir Sidney Poitier, the legendary Bahamian-American actor who became the first black man to win an Academy Award for Best Actor. Hailed as a hero and a trailblazer, Sir Sidney passed away Thursday evening. Kyle Joaquin reports.
Let me tell you something. I owe you nothing.
The Bahamas and the entertainment world in mourning tonight after legendary actor and philanthropist Sir Sidney Poitier passed away on Thursday night at 10 in his Los Angeles home, leaving behind an undeniable legacy. Here at home, flags were flown at half-staff as Prime Minister Philip Davis called it a day of mourning.
But even as we mourn, we celebrate the life of a great Bahamian, a cultural icon, an actor and film director, an entrepreneur, civil and human rights activist, and latterly a diplomat.
Born in Florida to Bahamian parents, Sir Sidney was raised on Cat Island. Despite achieving great success in the United States, he never shied away from his Bahamian heritage.
Oh, we build a chapel.
We build the chapel. He built the chapel.
Amen.
Poitier would have celebrated his 95th birthday next month. His iconic films played on some of the world's biggest screens.
And I always will.
But perhaps it was his role in the 1964 hit Lilies of the Field which made him a history maker.
Sidney Poitier in Lilies of the Field. The winner is Sidney Poitier in Lilies.
Poitier becoming the first black man to win an Oscar for Best Actor.
All I can say is a very special thank you.
Poitier leaving a lasting impact on the world and iconic figures across the globe.
And I was like, oh my God, he felt the same as I felt.
A moment legendary talk show host Oprah Winfrey would never forget when Poitier made a surprise visit to her show. In a tweet, Winfrey sharing, "I treasured him, I adored him. He had an enormous soul I will forever cherish." American singer and actress Dionne Warwick calling Poitier her hero and great friend, saying, "He once caught me following him. He said, 'Little girl, what do you want?' And I muttered, 'Can I have your autograph?' From that day, he always called me little girl and asked if I wanted his autograph." And who could forget this memorable moment between Poitier and Oscar winner Denzel Washington as he received a Lifetime Achievement Award.
I love you, I respect you, I imitate you. God bless you.
A host of other public figures also remembering the trailblazer, including former Prime Minister Hubert Ingraham, who said, "I join with all expressing deep sorrow at his passing, but most especially in expressing thanks and appreciation for his important contribution to the advancement of black people the world over." Poitier, a figure forever etched in Bahamian history, the bridge to paradise bearing his name, a moment he was here to see in 2012.
May God bless you and Godspeed to each and every one of you through a remarkable lifetime.
Prime Minister Davis says his administration will do much more to honor him and pay tribute.
Well, I think we did a lot to give him his flowers while he was alive, but we have not done enough, I think. We intend to sit as a government to determine what else we can do to mark his burying.
Finally, to those audience members around the world who have placed their trust in my judgment as an actor and filmmaker, I thank each of you for your support through the years. Thank you.
Sir Sidney was 94. For Our News, I'm Kyle Joaquin.
In other news, the government will implement immediate short-term fixes at Grand Bahama International Airport, which sustained significant damage during Hurricane Dorian in 2019. Deputy Prime Minister Chester Cooper called the state of the airport distressing after touring the facility Thursday afternoon.
We are deeply concerned about the conditions that our people work in. And we have discussed, along with the Minister of Grand Bahama, some of the short-term fixes that we are going to be examining to see whether we can bring those into fruition fairly quickly.
Last April, the Minnis administration signed a contract for the acquisition of Grand Bahama International Airport for $1 plus roughly $1 million in staff-related costs. The airport, owned by Hutchison Port Holdings and Port Group Limited, sustained significant flood and wind damage.
Each time I arrive at this airport, I am rather distressed that over a period of 2 years, very little has been done here, and it is a constant reminder of Hurricane Dorian and the circumstances faced by our people here in Grand Bahama.
The tourism minister added it is important to get a proper airport up and running in order to attract more investors to the island. He had these words for employees who've been working under less than ideal conditions.
We're now very concerned about the working conditions of our citizens, many of whom still operate 5 or 6 at a time in a small trailer, using outhouses, to put it bluntly. The facades here on the buildings that's been terrorized by Hurricane Dorian is a constant reminder, and this is the gateway to our second city.
The fourth wave of COVID cases having an impact on the dental industry, with offices seeing an increase in cancellations. Kyle Joaquin has more.
We have had cancellations, last-minute cancellations, and it's been due to either people being exposed to COVID or being in a workplace where somebody else had COVID, or having a family member.
Dr. Annette Warren has been in the industry for decades and says the COVID-19 pandemic has certainly presented a different kind of challenge. After rebounding from a rough 2 years that saw dental offices closed for periods of time and virtual sessions with patients, this fourth wave of cases is cause for great concern.
Generally, it's impacting business everywhere because you have team members calling out, patients calling in who can't make it, and we prefer for them not to come in if they've been exposed. But at the same time, there's still lots of people who are well and can come in and have their care done. I also emphasize that there's some fear in patients, but it's important to keep your oral health top-notch.
At Impressions Oral Health Center, before you enter, you have to fill out a questionnaire asking key questions. Once inside, you're asked to sanitize, and a mist is sprayed over your body. Dr. Warren says it's just one of the steps they've been forced to take to keep staff and patients safe. But the fourth wave is being felt by just about every dental office.
We're trying to really gauge if it's that after Christmas, effective January, that most people have after spending all of their money, or is it truly a reflection of a new fear that has arisen because of the new variants.
Dental Association President Dr. Shamika Strawn says time will tell how things play out.
Many dental offices suffered in 2020. We're hoping that it doesn't get to that point, but at least we would have had that experience again, so we can use that as a template to guide us in how we need to respond this time around. But we can only wait and see. We don't know how things are going to pan out, but we're here to give health care, and we're going to do that to the best of our abilities.
Dr. Strawn says with extra precaution being taken to prevent a spread of the virus, dental offices have changed their operations, but she feels it's for the better.
With our patients, we're now encouraging them to wait in their cars until they're called up. I know 1 or 2 offices have very large teams, so they're alternating their teams. So it's team A and team B, so that if any one person is exposed, then the entire team wouldn't be exposed and we would still be able to give care to our patients.
For Our News, I'm Kyle Joaquin.
In other news, the electronic bail management system is set to be fully implemented in the Supreme Court and Magistrates Court. Soon, it will be the only means of making bail applications and police station check-ins. Jasmine Brown speaks with Senior Justice Bernard Turner about the process ahead of the opening of the new legal year.
Nearly 5 years after the electronic bail management system was introduced, it's closer than ever to being fully executed on New Providence in Grand Bahama. Senior Justice Bernard Turner leads the project for the judiciary.
Early this year, the bail management system will be the
exclusive means by which bail applications are made, considered, and the conditions of bail monitored by the civil system.
And when it comes to the Magistrates Court, Senior Justice Turner says the system will also be rolled out early this year.
As we roll out the bail management system in the Magistrates Courts, a date would also be fixed by which the magistrates would be using only the bail management system as a means of considering and granting bail, or considering hearing bail applications.
Long-awaited bail management system that allows electronic processing for bail applications, persons who are granted bail, suretors, and registration at police stations using biometrics was launched in September 2021. The launch came 4 years after then Attorney General Alison Maynard Gibson announced that Bahamian-owned Multimedia Technologies had been hired to procure the software and hardware for the system. Multimedia Technologies Limited still holds the contract for the project, which is part of Chief Justice Sir Brian Murray's plan to modernize the court system. Turner says the system will also make it easier to track the entire bail process.
We have tried to design the system so that at every stage of the life cycle of a bail application, we're able to use new technology, able to use software, and able to access a greater degree of information so that better decisions are made, more informed decisions are made, and then importantly, to seek to simplify the process of making a bail application for both a represented applicant as well as an unrepresented applicant.
Kiosks have been set up in the criminal registry, the Bahamas Department of Correctional Services, and several police stations on New Providence and Grand Bahama. Reporting for our news, I'm Jasmine Brown.
Rev Media Vice President David Burrows has been named one of the top 100 leaders in the cable industry. Burrows was recognized by Cablefax magazine, which highlighted 100 of the most powerful executives in the cable communications business. He says receiving the international award was humbling.
It's a very interesting feeling. I turned 60 this month, so feels like a milestone for me. Being able to be recognized for your work on such a large scale is pretty awesome.
The international recognition comes as Burrows celebrates 25 years of service with Cable Bahamas, making him one of the company's longest-serving employees.
Gosh, it's so many different milestones. I've moved from ground level in the marketing department to marketing manager to director of marketing to director of product development to head of marketing to VP of marketing and now VP of media. So I've gone through the gamut of any area that touches revenue in the organization. I've been involved in, as well as the launch of technology like the internet and digital. It's been quite a ride.
Burrows, who ranks among leaders at Comcast, Charter, and Cox, is the top 100 on the top 100 list. Also thanked cable executives for their continued support. RTV also extends its congratulations to Burrows on this top honor. Well, mostly clear skies tonight. Greg Thompson is in the Weather Center with the latest.
Thanks, Christine, and a happy Friday evening, everybody. A warm day around the islands today. Temperatures really toasty, got into the 80s. That's all ahead of a front boundary with a southwesterly wind out there. Those winds have fallen off light right now. 75 outside our studios under partly cloudy skies, and your feels-like temperature near the 80-degree mark. Satellite view, frontal boundary and a mid to upper level trough moving across the South Florida area, bringing in some showers and thunderstorms, some of those occurring across the Grand Bahama and the Abacos earlier. We will continue to see this front progress towards the south, so we could see 1 or 2 more showers later on tonight across the northwest Bahamas. That's your first look at weather. Your extended forecast is still to come.
Still to come on our news, a group of parents push for face-to-face learning, and the business community excited about the redevelopment of downtown Nassau. That's coming up when our news returns.
Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. Topping news tonight.
COVID-19 remains a serious threat.
Coronavirus COVID-19 has disrupted our economy, tourism industry, educational system, and put our healthcare facilities and professionals on high alert. Are you prepared? Do you have all the facts? Stay tuned to this network for the very latest news and information on this global pandemic.
As students started the new year in a virtual school setting, a group of parents is urging the Ministry of Education to reconsider its position on face-to-face learning. Bethany McDermott reports.
This group of concerned parents is advocating for schools to resume face-to-face classes and for the government to allow parents to decide if they want to send their children to school. Scott Saunders suggested that if businesses remain open, school campuses shouldn't be closed.
Schools, again, are the last part that's allowed to be opened. When we can have social gatherings at home, we can have social gatherings at a restaurant, we can go to the movies, we can go to a hotel for dinner, we can do all of these things. And the schools have the capacity to have better protocols in place.
He was joined by another parent, Lorraine Singh, who referenced a UNICEF article which opined that schools should be the last to close and the first to reopen. The international organization, which has campaigned for the reopening of schools, insisted that school closures have led to reduced physical activity and poor diets, increased levels of anxiety and self-harm, and exposure to domestic violence.
Keeping children at home has resulted in parents having to leave their jobs, and despite the evidence showing to date that schools have been not the main driver of COVID-19 transmissions in the community, yet we remain to keep the schools closed for 2 years now.
The parents should have a choice. So if you feel as though you're not super comfortable with your child going in at this point, then you should have the choice to be able to keep them home and continue on in the virtual capacity.
Like many countries, the Bahamas has seen an alarming surge in COVID-19 cases in recent weeks. Since December 27th, more than 2,500 cases have been confirmed. It prompted education officials to postpone the resumption of in-person learning for at least 2 weeks. However, these parents say students' education isn't the only thing at risk.
It's about their mental well-being, their psychological well-being, their emotional well-being, their social well-being. What are we creating if we're not allowing our kids to be out back in the classrooms where so much education happens?
It's very difficult for our teachers to continue being able to educate online versus in person, and I think they might be at a breaking point.
Now, amid a rapid surge in COVID-19 cases, these parents say if safety protocols can be put in place for businesses to operate, then the same can be done for schools. They say the measures that were put in place for schools to operate last year should remain. Reporting for Our News, I'm Bethany McDermott.
Meanwhile, the redevelopment of the Nassau Cruise Port is expected to be completed by the third quarter of this year, and the business community is anticipating a surge in activity in downtown Nassau to accompany it.
We're looking forward to it. We believe that it's a good addition to the economy.
Chair of the Bahamas Chamber of Commerce and Employers Confederation, Crystal Rutherford Ferguson, says businesses are looking forward to what 2022 will bring.
We feel positive about the project. We also feel positive that the company will use local businesses in procuring certain goods and services.
Last month, the Bahamas Investment Fund raised $25 million for the Nassau Cruise Port Limited's redevelopment of recreational, entertainment, shopping, and food and beverage spaces, the completion of marine construction work, and related costs for the project. Meanwhile, downtown businesses have been working toward economic recovery after a year of lockdowns, restrictions, and low visitor arrivals.
What we're looking forward to is increase in the amount of business that's being conducted in the downtown area, a complete rehaul of the facade of the downtown area as well.
While the center of downtown will see redevelopment, the area east of East Street is still struggling, with abandoned and shuttered buildings sandwiched between those in a state of disrepair. Rutherford Ferguson says the chamber is always there to support and foster plans to bring that area back to life.
We are always available should anyone need to reach out and lean on us to further support and drive recovery, but also economic growth.
When our news comes back from the break, a local production company weighs in on virtual parade backlash and a popular sporting event postponed. The details when our news returns.
Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. Topping news tonight.
COVID-19 remains a serious threat.
Coronavirus COVID-19 has disrupted our economy, tourism industry, educational system, and put our healthcare facilities and professionals on high alert. Are you prepared? Do you have all the facts? Stay tuned to this network for the very latest news and information on this global pandemic.
This is our news. Welcome back. Amid backlash over the recent virtual Junkanoo Parade, a popular production company is weighing in. Owner of Zaymar Group, Andrew Gardner, says certain factors must be considered when shooting and producing an event as high energy as a Junkanoo rush out.
Lighting is key, okay? The way you stage it is key, and lighting plays a very, very important role. Then, of course, the type of cameras that you use play a very important role. And something like Junkanoo, from my perspective, I couldn't see that being, now I don't know how many cameras they used, but for me, in my mind, I automatically think in a minimum of 6 cameras because you have to capture all of that action.
The quality of the production, which cost the government $300,000, was widely criticized on social media, prompting the ministry to remove it from its Facebook page. The culture minister admitted there were a number of challenges and noted the video would be corrected and re-aired.
Junkanoo is what we showcase as a nation. That's what the world watches. So at the end of the day, when we put that out there, it's not just for Bahamians, that's also a tourism product. So we want to make sure it's right.
And a much anticipated local boxing show forced to postpone amid rising COVID numbers and the NFL regular season into its final week. Marcellus Hall has the details tonight in sports.
Welcome to our Sports Friday, everybody. I'm Marcellus Hall. For those of you boxing fans that might have had this on your calendar, I know I certainly did. The Blast from the Past boxing card, which is scheduled for later on this month, January 22nd, as a matter of fact, has now been postponed. This, according to the promoter and organizer, Whitney Ferguson, who says it really comes down to keeping everybody healthy and as safe as possible.
Due to the increase of COVID cases in the country and around the world, we had to make a conscientious decision and we postponed the event until further notice. The event is postponed, not canceled. So as soon as we get word from the Ministry of Health and Wellness, then we'll proceed with the event.
Meanwhile, from the NFL, Saturday action coming, and it's going to be some good games starting on Saturday with the Kansas City Chiefs going up against the Denver Broncos. Dallas Cowboys will take on the Philadelphia Eagles in the other matchup. First, though, the Kansas City Chiefs looking to round their season off and looking to solidify their playoff position as they take up the Denver Broncos. The game has no significance for the Broncos, who are out of playoff contention, although they can play spoiler as far as the series is concerned. Meanwhile, the Dallas Cowboys have locked up position as far as the playoffs are concerned, but they'd still like some bragging rights against the Philadelphia Eagles. That game will take place on Saturday as well. And that's your check on sports for you here on this Friday. I'm Marcellus Hall. Back to you.
And Greg is back with the latest weather forecast. That's coming up when our news returns.
Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. Topping news tonight.
COVID-19 remains a serious threat.
Coronavirus COVID-19 has disrupted our economy, tourism industry, educational system, and put our healthcare facilities and professionals on high alert. Are you prepared? Do you have all the facts? Stay tuned to this network for the very latest news and information on this global pandemic.
Welcome back to our news. A chance of rain this weekend. Greg is back in the Weather Center.
Thanks again, Christina. Welcome back, everybody, for your second look at weather. Taking a look at our satellite view, frontal boundary progressing across the southern Florida area, moving into the northwest Bahamas. Showers and thunderstorms associated with that boundary pushing across the northwest Bahamas as we speak. We will continue to see 1 or 2 more showers spark up later on tonight through tomorrow as that front moves into just to the south of New Providence and stalls, but behind that a very strong high pressure system will be building in across our area. That will promote some breezy conditions as well as hazardous beaching and boating conditions into the weekend, so make sure you do exercise some caution if you plan on doing any of those activities. Boating forecast for the northwest Bahamas tonight. They will be variable just ahead of that front, but they will swing quickly north to northeast 15 to 25 knots, and advisory posted. Very rough seas 5 to 7 feet over the ocean. High tide will be at 11:58 tonight. For the central and southeastern, a caution flag for you guys tomorrow. Winds will start off variably tonight, becoming northeasterly 15 to 20 knots. Seas running 4 to 6 feet over the ocean. Here's a look now at your national forecast. A look now at your extended forecast through Friday. Breezy conditions for the weekend, but we do expect another front by next week, so nice change in the weather. Back to you, Christina.
Thanks, Greg, and thank you for joining us for our news tonight. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Christina Dragovich. A rebroadcast of the tribute to Sir Sidney Poitier for his 90th birthday celebration starts right now. Have a beautiful evening, Bahamas.